All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Medium Cool Show. Today, we're traveling back to the year 1970, and we take a flight all the way to Italy. This time, Rome. If we go a little bit below Rome, we have the city of Eur, or the EUR, the city that Benito Mussolini commissioned to make. This is where this film starts, but
Really?
then we're going to travel to Paris. AKA Paris, for you English speakers out there.
Yeah. Yeah. That was interesting though. I didn't know that stuff.
Yeah, so anyway, guys, we're going to be talking about, I think, a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And that film is Il Conformista, AKA The Conformist, directed by Bernardo Bertolucci.
Observe this man closely. His eyes have seen violence. His nose has breathed corruption. His mouth has whispered both love and betrayal. Paramount Pictures presents The Conformist.
Based on a book starring Jean-Louis Trintignant.
Yeah.
The boy.
We love him. We do. I feel like we were talking the other day about what Italian, European star at the time in the 60s was bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like him, Alain Delon, Marcello Macchiati.
Yeah, Marcello Mastroianni.
Which one was cooler, right?
Yeah, dude.
For me, it's pretty easy that Jean-Louis Trintignant is
On the
my
top?
favorite. Is the top of those three because he's more of a character actor than the other two. I feel like.
Alain Delon's my guy. That's my number one. So I just love watching his movies. But I will say Jean-Louis Trintignant has more classic serious films, and his filmography is way more vast all the way up until the late 2010s. He was working with way more auteurs, and he worked with so many people like Bertolucci, Costa Gavras, Umberto Lenzi, Sergio Corbucci, Bernardo Bertolucci, fucking Michael Haneke,
Christoph Kowalski.
Yeah. Dude, he's such a legend. Il Surpasso, dude, fucking so many good movies. But Alain Delon, I like watching him more. But even though I love watching Jean-Louis Trintignant, I like Alain Delon a little more than Marcello Mastroianni at number 3. But we can get into him another time. Yeah, Jean-Louis Trintignant goes back to Italy to film this with Bernardo Bertolucci. This actually wasn't his first feature.
Bernardo Bertolucci.
Yeah, it wasn't his debut. He made his first feature 8 years earlier when he was 22 or something like that.
Damn.
And then he was 30 when he made this movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is so crazy because this movie has such depth to it.
I know, it really does. It's really so introspective in a way where it's as an Italian, you have to be able to come with terms of yourself and your identity in order to make this movie at such a young age. 30? This is way ahead of its time. Yeah,
man, and it's just such a critique and investigation into the period of the 1930s. This movie takes place in the 1930s during when Italy, when Mussolini was reigning before World War II.
Yeah, but not only 1930s itself, but also the psychological mindset you're in that time in Italy, which is something that I feel like a lot of people shy away from. The outdated mindset that their nationality had. America does that a lot.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, I think what's so interesting comparing America to this is because the fascist government wants to take down this professor who has this really radical ideology and everything. And I feel like nowadays we're seeing that a lot more in America, where professors have these really radical ideas, and they're kind of trying to and the government kind of notices them. They think they're corrupting the fucking youth. Because when you go to college, bro, and you meet these professors, they're so fucking radical, dude.
Yeah.
They're so fucking radical. And I feel like a lot of radical ideas do come out of universities and colleges, whereas in Italy at the time, the fascist regime was trying to keep everything so nationalistic and ideological, and you had to believe in that ideology if you're going to be a citizen of Italy.
Yeah.
Whereas you couldn't have different ideas, and I think Jean-Louis Trintignant's character, who works for the Secret Service of Benito Mussolini, was when he was in college, he had this professor, and he really does believe you kind of realize, oh shit, his own job, he doesn't even believe in it. He actually believes in this professor who flees to France in the 30s because he doesn't fuck with the fascist ideology, obviously, and they're probably trying to capture him as well.
Yeah.
He's ordered to kill the guy that he actually believes in his thoughts, and that's like what I find like so interesting about the film. You know?
Yeah, it is very much like about identity in your social life and identity in your political life. Like, how do you conform, and what do you choose to conform to, right? So you kind of realize that like Jean-Louis Trintignant throughout this movie, he's kind of a little bit of a sociopath.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
and he doesn't really have strong beliefs other than he thinks this is what you should do.
Yeah.
Right? And I find that very interesting where he's like a very cool, suave guy. You know, he's engaged to this like gorgeous girl.
A superficial kind of girl.
He's a superficial girl. He has this great job with the government, which he thinks is like, oh, this is like what I should be doing, you know? But you realize he comes from kind of like upper middle class background with his mom, you know, and his dad's like a little crazy. And for him, like he's very narcissistic to where he's like, this is what I should be doing. This is how I should be conforming. But he's not like thinking for himself or questioning his own beliefs, which I find very interesting as just like a character piece that this movie is.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is a kind of a character. Like it's rich in its characters. I think it's rich in story. It's rich in like the love affair part of it, and then it's just all the ideas and like the debate of like fascism and you know, all that's like very interesting to me. But yeah, he's trying to be normal. Like he wants to be normal, and that idea of normal is to be married, like probably like have a house and kids and like go back to like just participate more in society.
Yeah.
As like, you know, socially and whatnot, but he's not able to do that obviously.
Yeah.
But he tries to, and he keeps telling people, oh, I want to go back to this or that. But when he goes to Paris, he kind of like flips over a little bit. That conversation with the professor about the cave, Plato's cave, I love that scene so much. And I love the scene when they are driving and they stop in front, like they set up the trap for the professor, but it's not like it's like it's just when they trap him, it just holds on it for so long, like nothing happens for so long, and they're just like cutting back and forth, people just like sitting in cars. It's like this surrealistic vibe. I love that scene as well.
Yeah, we have to talk about
Vittorio Storaro.
Yeah, we have to talk about Vittorio Storaro.
Yeah.
Like, he's amazing in this. This movie, I mean, you were telling me how shots influenced other shots, like in The Godfather.
Yeah, The Godfather like, Part 2, they rip it off, dude.
Yeah, and like how, you know, it's clearly obvious that Coppola loved Vittorio Storaro because he uses him in Apocalypse Now, you know, and he really does blow me away. Every shot in this movie is so fucking cool. He makes the feel of this movie. He creates it, you know, with the fascist architecture that they use, with the dolly shots, with just like the crazy lighting he does. I love that scene where it's like he's on the coast and he's going to get his other mission, right? And he's like on the train, and then there's the painting of the coast, and then he walks in frame and they dissolve it into the frame where he's walking into the building. So sick.
Yeah.
And the lighting through the blinds and stuff God, when he's in there. Oh my God. Like, it's just so fun to watch. Like, it adds to the surrealist feel of this whole film. And
he's so great with colors. Like, one scene will be really stark, like flashback or something like that, like a really stark, like blue. And then one scene will be like a really bright, like he does so well with like color, like different colors, different moods and stuff. And he does that. You can see that in like all of his work. You see like Apocalypse Now, even the Woody Allen movies he does today. They have different they have different stark contrast like color, and it's like it's so sick.
Yeah,
you know? One of the goat cinematographers.
Oh, for sure. Like, definitely deserves his praise. The other thing I want to talk about that I find really interesting about this movie is the fact that when he's confessing, you know, who he is and what he believes in and whatnot, the priest is like refusing to accept his confession. He's like, you're crazy. Like, what the fuck? You don't even feel any guilt for any of the stuff you've done. And he's like, no, I don't. Like, I don't even like this woman I'm marrying, you know? Like, but then when he reveals that he's secret police, he accepts his confession. But I think it's really interesting the fact that he thinks he killed this man at a very young age, and that kind of shapes his view of himself and his identity.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the very end, you learn that this man's still alive,
Mm-hmm.
and he questions his own identity for the first time
Yeah.
in the entire film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And that is something that's so interesting, that it's like the catalyst for him finally breaking free of conforming
Mm-hmm.
is the fact that he didn't end up killing anyone.
Yeah.
That he's not, because you see like the scene where it's like he can't kill that woman in the car, the woman he was having an affair with,
Yeah.
the professor's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you're such a weak coward. Like his partner's like, you disgust me, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think like there's like these traumatic events that happened to him when he was younger, like he's alluded to with his family, and then obviously we see that scene where the guy tries to fuck him.
Yeah, Belle
and he kills him, but he thinks he kills him. So he has all this trauma that kind of made him like the way he is, even though he's trying to be normal. It kind of has that sort of American Psycho feel to it, like a Fight Club taxi driver, just like dead inside, trying to change what you can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's like so cool about this movie, and just like the way it's shot, put together. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I like this movie. I think this is my favorite Bernardo Bertolucci film I've seen so far.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then he also does he goes back to fascism in 1900 with Robert De Niro and Gerard Depardieu, where one of them becomes a fascist and one of them is a rebel. You know, even though they're brothers. And also another interesting fact is that Jean-Louis Trintignant, when he was growing up, his dad in France, his dad was he was like pretending to be a Nazi sympathizer, but really he was like a rebel. Really? But his mom was having an affair with a Nazi.
Damn.
So that kind of was like a thing that happened to him when he was like a kid, and then he's like doing this movie, kind of like, you know, thing that happened to him.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah.
And Jean-Louis Trintignant's daughter was murdered.
I know. That was really fucked, and the guy's free too.
Yeah, it's so weird, man. Anyway, guys, we just talked about Jean-Louis Trintignant when we talk about Il Grande Silencio, aka The Great Silence, that we just put that video out. And we also talked about him in El Surpaso. That was cool. But next time, we gotta talk about some Alain Delon, because I don't think we've talked about him once.
No, yeah. I mean, maybe we did Los Samurai, but...
No, we never did.
No?
We never did any Jean-Pierre Melville movies.
Okay, well, we'll do that. Or we can do, Z. I've been wanting to rewatch Z.
Yeah, Z. Yeah, definitely we're going to watch some more, talk about some more Jean-Louis Trintignant on this show. But yeah, guys, leave a comment below. Have you seen this movie? Have you not? What should we watch next? Peace out.